What's up everyone and welcome to Let's Max Warframe, where today we're going to be taking a look at the brand new infested glaive that came as part of the finale of Season 2 of Nightwave, and that's the Pathocyst. Gained from fighting the Zealoid Prelate, the guide to which you can find in the description below. It requires a blueprint, 2 blades and a subcortex, plus a couple of neurodes to build it. Once you've got it built, you've got the highest damaging glaive in the game. Also pretty damn close to the slowest weapons in the game too, to counteract that sort of hard hittingness. Crit chance, that's enough to go for a Blood Rush build, plus a slightly above average crit multiplier, and I mean slightly because it's 2.1 times instead of 2 times, and the joint highest status chance of all of the glaives. It's got innate viral damage too, which is pretty nice for condition overload builds and working with that status chance to regularly halve health. It also comes with a special mechanic as well, which is on a hit, the weapon spawns some maggots, similar to the Nidus 4th ability, which will latch onto enemies, make them flail around a bit before exploding, doing almost no damage at all, and that doesn't seem to be moddable as far as I can tell. Talking of modding, I've got 2 builds for it. One I recommend, and one I'm putting out there in case anyone's interested, but I'm not going to recommend it. First build, simply Blood Rush crit build with status. Absolutely nothing crazy in here. In fact, maybe the craziest thing is I'm using Sacrificial Steel, which boosts our base crit, so Blood Rush has more to work with. I'm replacing a combo timer mod for Naramon here, just so we can save on mod space for the Umbral mod. Berserker is a personal preference mod too. You could go Prime Fury if you wanted to, so the initial wind up of getting those first couple of crits for attack speed doesn't feel quite so painful. But I like getting as much speed out of it as possible, because with just Prime Fury I find it still painfully slow. This is my main build for it, the one I would recommend. Astral Twilight is 100% the best stance out of the 2 here, there's absolutely no contest. The second build's a throwing build, which I know people are going to look for, but I don't recommend it at all. Not sure if this is intended or a visual error, but it doesn't appear like the explosions crit at all. Definitely doesn't feel like it's critting, that's for sure. If I'm wrong, feel free to correct me in the comments below and replace the 90% mods in here with the crit mods. But that's the reason I ignored crits on here and went raw damage with condition overload. Power throw, quick return for the explosion, as much corrosive damage as possible. Combine it with a good condition overload weapon. Now, I'm going to be honest, no force procs means that despite what seems to be good base damage, this doesn't really do very well at all. Doesn't kill that well anything sortie level or above. However, for low level trash, it can clear just fine. I also found that if I wasn't the host of the squad as well, that the tracking of the actual glaive itself was very, very weird. In the simulacrum, or if I'm host, it works absolutely fine. However, if I'm not the host, I found that actually it has a lot of trouble tracking enemies, and I just felt that it was not worth modding for a throwing build outside of going for those explosions. So, what do I think of the Pathocyst? Do I think it's good, and would I recommend investing your former into it? And the answer is, honestly, I find it kind of hard to recommend, to be honest. Most of the problem for me comes down to the stance. Either you're in the full melee, in full melee mode, which feels like you're in a permanent cold proc, it's so slow, even with Berserker fully procced. Or you use the stance where you've got your secondary weapon equipped, at which point one of your attacks is quite literally to backhand the enemy, yeeting them across the room if they don't die to the attack. Way out of melee range, which is very, very annoying. Not to mention that the stance feels a little bit awkward. The constant weird changes in momentum is not something I enjoy at all. Maybe this is more of a me thing, but I just really do not like either stance for the glaives whatsoever. That's not to say that the weapon doesn't kill well though. In the footage in the background, that's the second part of the sortie, and honestly, it's killing just fine. I'm slicing through them pretty easily and without any problem at all, and when you start combining it with the fact that you have the easiest access to a condition overload secondary of all the weapon classes, as you can see, you can slice through some high level enemies rather quickly. 4 165 gunners in about 15 seconds is good in anybody's, but quite frankly, meaning that this is going to go through any of the content we have in the game without too much problem whatsoever. The special feature, though, is nothing more than it's honestly nothing more than a gimmick. It's a fun gimmick, don't get me wrong, but useful it's not. In all honesty, if your target's alive long enough for a maggot to spawn and attach themselves to them, you're just doing something wrong. It's fun, but like I say, it's just not all that useful. Maybe if it opened the enemies up to a finisher or something, that would be kind of cool, but a flail and an enemy you're already attacking, it's not too useful. But like I say, the weapon does have power when it's built properly. I think my view of it's just tinted of just how much I dislike the stance. At no time did I really enjoy using it, or think that I was better off using that than a machete, or a single sword, or a dual sword, all of which have very similar range to this. But at the end of the day, you've seen how it performs in game in the video, so you can make a decision on whether you think it's worth for you. Sadly, personally, it's going to go back in the cupboard with the rest of my glaives, but maybe you'll fall in love with it, who knows. If you have the weapon, let me know your feelings on it in the comments below. I'm really interested to hear what you have to say. But for now, many thanks for watching, I hope you have a wonderful evening, and I shall see you in the next video.